Hi everyone, and welcome to the first introductory video from my brand new YouTube channel called The Closing Geek. And before we get into what The Closing Geek is, let me first introduce myself. My name is Diana Diaz, and I have been in real estate in one form or another for the past 30 years. Most of my life was spent as a transfer agent, and for those of you who don't know what that is, it is a person that works at a management company and sort of facilitates a co-op or condo closing with all of the various parties involved. And so I did that for most of my adult life. I eventually evolved, and I am now a licensed real estate attorney, a licensed real estate broker. I am also a continuing education teacher for the Real Estate Board of New York, where we teach brokers about growing their business, learning the business. And most recently, I published a book called The Closing, which you can find on Amazon. And the book just says some pretty cool stories about different things that have happened in real estate closings over the past 3 decades. We might just spend an episode one day just talking about some funny stories and answering questions. I have a very specific wealth of knowledge that I have acquired over 30 years, and I'm always a person that is thinking about how I give back to my community and to people. And it dawned on me that this whole home buying process is very daunting for most people. They don't even know where to begin, right? They don't know what's the first step. What do I do if I'm interested in buying a home? And because I had all this knowledge, I said, well, what is the best avenue where I can sort of help people, right? With sort of a step-by-step guide on what do I do first? What do I do next? What do I do last? And so the idea for this YouTube channel was born. And I'm a person that thinks it is our responsibility when we get to a certain station in life to give back, right? To give back to our communities, to give back to people and share what we've learned along the way. And I'm hoping that with this channel, I can reach a lot of people who are not sure, how do we even begin the home buying process, or what's the first step? And so we will spend a lot of time talking about things like, what can I afford? How do I get ready for a mortgage? How do I get my finances ready to own a house? How do I know how much I can afford? And those are the things that we hope our videos will help answer for you. And I also want to do it in a very simple way that's very meaningful. I want information that after you hear one of our videos, you can go home, write it down, and say, okay, now I know this is step one, right? I don't want to do it in a legalese type of way or in this very technical type of way where after you watch one of my videos, you now have to go get it interpreted by somebody else. No, I wanted to do it in a very simple but yet meaningful way, right? It's like when we go to a doctor, right, and we get a physical and he comes back and he starts talking all this medical jargon. All we want to know is, are we okay? Will we live to see another day? I don't need all the technical mumbo jumbo. And so let's step back for a minute and talk about, let's go back to the beginning. And let's talk about how the name, The Closing Geek, was born. So a geek is someone, right, who has specialized knowledge in a specific area. And typically when we think of geek, we think of the computer geek or the computer nerd, right? And so I have very specialized knowledge in real estate that I have acquired over 30 years of doing the same job. Doing every aspect of this job, from transfer agent to managing agent to attorney. And so I've been a self-professed geek my whole life. I was a self-professed geek before it was cool to be a geek, right? Before Big Bang Theory made it cool. And so the two were married and The Closing Geek was born. And so I hope that this channel demystifies that whole buying process for you, and that whole thing about real estate being something only for the rich, right? Especially for people who come from where I come from. I'm born and raised in the South Bronx. I was raised in a tenement building. I never knew anybody who owned a house. My family never knew anybody who owned a house. I've never been inside a house, right? The only time we saw a house was when we watched TV and in movies. And so you grew up this idea that a house was for rich people. That's who owned houses. And it's not true, right? I'm shooting this video from my house. Believe me, I'm not rich. I got myself prepared. I got myself prepared financially. I got myself prepared emotionally for the home buying process. And here I am. And if I can do it, you can do it too. And so we're going to teach you some very real world skill sets to get your finances ready for home ownership, to get yourself ready for home ownership, right? It's not just going to see some pretty houses and I like this and, oh, this house, the mortgage would be the same as my rent. Yeah, well, you still have water and sewer and taxes and homeowners insurance. So there's a lot to calculate before you decide how much you can afford when buying a home, right? You have to get ready financially. You have to get ready emotionally, right? Buying a house and you find the house you love, you make an offer, somebody outbids you, that's an emotional process. The mortgage process is an emotionally draining process. It is not for punks. You need to be ready, and that's what our videos will help you do. And so before we get into all of that stuff, the nitty-gritty stuff, we are going to lay the foundation for you, and that begins with the different types of ownership. So the first video that'll come out next week is entitled "What the Heck is That?" Because before you buy something, you got to know what the heck it is. And so we're going to talk about the different types of ownerships, right? Everybody says, oh, I want to buy a house, but they don't know there's lots of different options. There's single family houses, multifamily houses where you can live on one side and earn income on the other side. There's townhouses, co-ops, and condos, right? And also what financial responsibility attaches to each type of ownership, because all ownership is not equal, right? When you own a single family house and something goes wrong, there's no landlord to call. There's no super, no porter. You are it. We learned that the hard way, day 2, living in our house, and the water heater broke and we had to replace it. There was nobody to call. It's worth it. You just have to see what's your bandwidth. What are my needs? What am I willing to do? And what don't I not want to do, right? Maybe you want to buy a condo and let somebody else deal with that's the water heaters and all that good stuff. Or maybe you like the idea of being in charge of everything. And so we're going to talk about all those different types of ownership, break them down, what they mean physically for you, meaning what work you have to do on the upkeep, and what they mean financially for you. And so, like I said, this is the first intro video, just introducing you to the Closing Geek and what we're all about. Next week, the new video will be uploaded. I hope you watch it. I hope you learned something from it. If you have questions after watching it, you can shoot me a message. I'll be happy to answer. If you have a topic you want us to cover, you can shoot me a message and we'll do that too. But we hope this channel helps you on your journey to home ownership. My name is Diana. Have a good night and geek out.